So again, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our fifth session. Today, we will speak about project management and financial management, and it will be myself and my colleagues in UNIMED, Anne-Laurence, Pastorini, and Orlando Luca. You know very well the three of us, at least the people involved in the IPTICAR project know that it's the three of us working on IPTICAR, but of course we will talk more generally about what it means to manage a project from both perspectives, from a project management perspective and from a financial management perspective. As we do every session, we will record the lecture, and we will share after all with you the slides and the materials to be further shared with your colleagues in case you deem it relevant. So I will start sharing my screen. Okay. All right. I hope you can see it well.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So as I said, we start today speaking about project management. So how is the team dealing with project management, the tools that we usually adopt, and which are the synergies and which is the relation between project and financial management. We firmly believe that the two must walk together. So in this occasion, we wanted to show how the two aspects of managing a project and an initiative go hand by hand. So we will start with the Okay. We will start with the project, what is a project and what means project management, and we will have a little exercise for you too. And then we go through how to build a team, which are the elements which make a team effective, which are the project management tools, or at least the one we use, and how to, we wanted to share our experience. Of course, they are not the only one available or the only one effective, but we just wanted to present our experience. And then we go a little bit back on how to build a budget. If you remember on our very first seminar, we talked about how to write a proposal, but we didn't have time to go through building a budget, which are the elements which influence the construction of a budget for a project, and in general, which are the elements to be taken into account when you manage a budget. So we'll go from building the budget to the financial management. And of course, this will be our own Orlando to go through the financial aspects of a project. So just to begin, we wanted to draw the attention on what is a project and what it means to do project management. So a project is a series of tasks which are focused on the completion of an overall objective. So you set an objective, and then you imagine and you carry on a number of tasks and activities to be able to reach that one objective. In the case of projects and big initiatives, objectives might be more than one, but the logic is the same: to set a goal and then put on a number of tasks to reach that goal. In this presentation, we will try to be as generalist as possible. We don't want to talk specifically to our capacity building project or to a specific initiative, but we want to present the approach to project management, which is of course adaptable and applicable to every kind of project. So not only those funded by the European Union, which is of course our daily topic, so it's something which is obviously more familiar to us, but it can be applied to any initiative financed by your ministry, by private donors, activities in the framework of your institutional work. So project means every type of initiative, and project management can be applicable to every kind of project. So project management specifically means the use of knowledge, skills, and tools, and some techniques to meet the requirements of the project. So to comply with your project description, with the formal requirements of the call you have selected, with the goals you have set in your proposal, with reaching the results, monitoring your activities. So is in general all the competencies, but also the tools and the approaches you use to carry on a project. So this series of tasks to complete an objective. To start, we would like to challenge you with a number of questions. And let me copy this link and put it in the chat. So if you link on the chat, you will reach an online tool and you will be able to answer this question. Sorry, now I have to change and make it okay. So the very first question, which in your opinion, when managing a project, what shall be taken into account? So what is important? We all have experience of doing whatever initiative it is, whether it's a research project, a capacity building project like our IPTICAR, or whatever project you have been involved to. And before going through which are, in our opinion, the main principles of project management and how we run it, we wanted to have your, to draw from your inputs. So what shall be taken into account? What is important when conducting project management? And we will start from this word cloud to go through our slides in the presentation. So yes, I can read team building. Absolutely. This is one of the things we will present later on. And team members, of course. Then there are two other comments which relate to each other. So planning carefully, I would add, and having clear objectives and then a clear plan. Absolutely. As we say, the project means setting some goals and then making a plan to reach that goals. So, of course, this is one of the aspects. Deadlines, yes, indeed. And I would add, together with deadlines, a time frame. So it's not only setting deadlines, but having a set time frame for the activities, which most of the times are related to each other. So you have to have some deadlines to make sure that you can, when you finish one task, you are able to start the next one, but also having an overall time frame to be able to plan and to follow the plan and to monitor the plan against what is actually going on in the project implementation. Team members' time, yes, that is something we cope on our daily routine. Communication, absolutely, making an effective communication between the members of your team and with the members, with the partners. So, well, Anne-Laurence and Orlando, if it keeps going like this, we have no presentation to make. Good
Easy.
synergy.
the same.
ايه خلاص انا كيف يصير معي ارد عليك بعدين نقول لك بالك ربي يسخر ونلقاها باذن الله ماشي.
So again, good synergy among the team, yes. In an ideal world, you all find yourself working with people you like. And so you can actually create a good synergy and also a good energy in the working team. Unfortunately, it is not always the case. We are not always lucky enough to work with all the people we like. But it's very important to create a good synergy, to create an environment of collaboration between the working team members. This makes a huge difference when you carry on a project, if you work with people with which you are able to build at least a trust and effective communication, as it was mentioned before. A few more answers, and then we'll go to the next question. we are talking about managing a project. So we now, so far it's planning, communication, deadlines, which I would transform into time management, team members, project management, of course, that was simple. Okay, we'll go through what's important in our opinion, of course, when you manage a project. So I would ask you to click again on the link and answer to our second question. I think, let me, yes. So which are the keys for a project success? Of course, there is no magic recipe, otherwise we would have been absolutely impeccable in our projects, and it is not. So we don't have the key for success yet, but we can mention some of the elements which make the difference, of course, for a success in a project initiative. And quality, yes, of course. Quality of what? That's my next question. Quality of the planning, quality of the
Don't give the answer, Martina.
So, quality of what? Trust, yes. Work, absolutely. Okay. This is something which is not totally clear to me. Triple constraints. If we talk about constraints and in general about limitations, yes, there are some, of course, there are some limits and some constraints we cope to or we cope with. Acknowledging your limits, it's one of the keys for success or at least for a good implementation of a project. Exactly. Effective risk management. Be aware of which are your strengths, but also being aware of your limits and your threats and your risks, and make sure that you have an effective system to cope with the risks and with what is unexpected. Communications and synergy, as we said before. I must say that there is something that it was not mentioned up to now, neither before or after, which I figured would have been the first one. Management, yes. But nobody said the money, the funds, the resources. So we say the team, yes, absolutely, human resources, but definitely we need also the funds for an initiative, for a project to be successful. I see a few colleagues are still joining, so if you want to join the game, let's say, you find the link in the chat and you can answer to the questions, and I will see the responses on the screen. So no more answers.
We have, Martina, we have the response for the triple constant: cost, time, and scope. Because
Cost,
time,
time, and scope.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you. Yes, cost, time, and scope. Absolutely appropriate. Okay, so let's move back to this technology doesn't help me today. Let's move back to the presentation. Sorry. There are those lines, I don't know how to. Wait. let's give me a second. I will try to. All right. So just to follow up on all the issues which have emerged in our little exercise, when we talk about project management, there are some elements which come back, notwithstanding the kind of initiative and the type of fundings and the type of project and the objective you set. But there are some elements which are common to every project management approach. So you have to set your strategy, which is exactly setting your goal, organize some tasks. So make sure that you have, that you have a number of activities to reach your strategy, to implement your strategy and reach your goals. You have to execute those activities. You have to put in practice what you have planned, develop some tasks and develop some results. But this is not the end. Once you reach your result, so you are implementing your strategy, this is not the end. You have to analyze your work, measure the impact and measure how effective is your implementation, and go back to the strategy again. So project management ends in a circle. When you start from your objective, you start from setting a strategy, you start setting your goals, you do all the work, you plan, you execute, you develop results, you analyze those results, you measure your impact, and then you go back to strategic planning. So it's not something that ends when you do the implementation, but it goes back in a circle to the strategy. So when it comes to principles of project management, we have tried to set some of the elements we believe are important. Of course, this is not an exhaustive list. There are many other inputs that may come into project management, but we wanted to draw your attention on what we always feel like is important. So the coherence with the project goal, exactly what we are talking about. So make sure that when you manage an initiative, you keep coherence with your objective. So you keep coherence with your strategic goals. Coordination of the working team. So you make sure that the work is well designed, but you make sure that the team is working together, that you coordinate activities, that you coordinate the internal team inside your institution, but also the working team intended as the person working in all the partners taking part of the project. The coordination of the activities, so you make sure activities follow a flow, that are subsequent when they need to be, that they relate to each other, keeping in mind the time frame of your initiative. So this goes back to what we said before, time management. So it's not only doing activities to reach your goals, but doing all those activities within the time you have set, in a way that one action does not put in standby or delay the next ones, but they are related in an effective time frame. Effective communication within the team, with the partners, with the funding agency, making sure everyone is well aware of what is going on in the project, which are their responsibilities and their role within the project, what they are expected to do. So in this case, we go to the distribution of responsibility within the working team and the partners. And that communication is two ways. So it's not only from the coordinator to the partners, but between the partners and from the partners to the coordinator, and that is effective. How to make communication effective is not an easy task, but this should be the goal of project management, to make sure that everyone knows well what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and that there is, in case problems arise, in case unexpected outcomes arise, there is communication between who has to manage this unexpected situation. So we go to risk management. So when we speak about risk management, most of the time we think about risks which come from outside the consortium. So things that happens outside our control. The easiest example is the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, which put all of us into an unpredictable and unexpected situation that we had to cope with. But it might be also an internal risk. So the team in the coordination organization, but also in the partners changes. So people change, and the entrance of a new person means we have to explain to this new person what we are doing, why we are doing this, and how. So this is a risk. It's a minor risk, of course, but this is a risk and unexpected that we have to cope with. We planned activities to go to produce a certain result, but while implementing the project, we realize that the result is different from what we expected. So this is a change we have to manage. There are conflicts between the partners. So this is another risk that we need to cope to. And there is in the project management, we have to also foresee measures for conflict resolution, and of course, recovery actions. So for whatever does not go as planned, we have to be able and flexible enough to be able to find a solution, to manage the risk, to manage the change, and make it in a way that the project does not stop, but goes ahead with the same goal, but with different actions. And here, along with flexibility, we go into monitoring and evaluation. So as I said before, project management does not end when we implement the action, but it ends when we go back to the strategy. So we have to monitor our work. We have to set indicators to say we are successful or we are not. We have to set some deadlines, but also some expected results to make sure that we are actually doing what it's needed to reach our strategy, evaluate the impact, evaluate the quality, evaluate the results, and come back to our strategic planning. So are we actually doing what helps us to reach the goal? Yes, then we can move forward. If the answer is no, then we have to change something in the project management, in the implementation of the project, to make sure that we actually reach our set objective. The last point of project management, which we will not go into details in this presentation today, but we thought it was important to mention, is the question of intellectual property rights. So especially when we deal with research, but also when it comes to developing a result which is innovative, so it's new, it's something that has not been done before, we have to acknowledge the property rights. So when it comes to European funded project, the European Commission strongly encourages an open approach. So open science, open educational resources, results which are openly available, training resources which are made open and available to the widest pool of beneficiaries possible. But it is not always the case. When it comes to, for example, rising projects, so what is produced is really innovative, is an innovative tool, a research outcome. You have to cope with international property rights. So to make sure that whatever you made available is under the rights you define within the consortium, and that is acknowledged from the outside who has reached that intellectual result and is well recognized by the audience. So it's something a little bit technical, but we wanted to mention it because it doesn't have to be underestimated. When it comes to management, we usually identify 3 different levels of project management. And when I say level, I don't want to say that one is more important than the other. So it's not a pyramid, it's not a hierarchical structure, it's just different levels. And on the other hand, what we want to stress is that they all are important and they all function only if working together. So the 3 levels are effective if going hand by hand. So there will be a project management, which is maybe more dedicated to the strategic management of an initiative. There will be let's say, what we call the assistant project manager, or in general, those who are more working in terms of making the operational management. And then we have those in charge of financial and administrative management, but only working together and with the constant dialogue, a project management can be effective at all levels. And just to give you a funny impact on what it means managing a project, I put this project prioritization metrics, just to say there is not one person doing everything. You always have to cope, whether it's in your daily routine or at the overall level of the project management of an initiative, what is urgent and what is not urgent, what is important and what is not important. So every task has to be placed in this matrix to say, I will do it immediately and I will do it myself because it's not only important, but it's urgent. And I want to have control over this. And this is usually what strategic management means. I will do it later because it's not urgent, but it's still important. So I will keep control over the task. I will do it, I will delegate a task because it's urgent, it has to be done today, but it's not strategic. The matrix says not important. I would not say there is something which is not important, but it's not strategic. So it can be delegated to, for example, who cares about the operational management. And if you find a task which is not urgent and is not important, maybe it's not a task, you can delete the task. Maybe it's something you can avoid doing. Maybe you thought it was important when you were planning the project, but you realize later on that it's not that important, that it's not even urgent. So you can be flexible enough to avoid doing the task and maybe find another one which is more strategic and which is more up to the life of the actual project. When it goes to strategic management, and sorry, I want to add another element. We have tried to structure what is strategic, operational, and financial management. Then it doesn't mean that there is one single person that does only one single thing. The three levels always interact with each other, and it means there are persons which do both strategic management and operational management. There are persons which may do the financial management and as well as this operational management and the strategic management. So the three levels are in terms of how we think about project management, but they do not strongly relate to what a single person does. And I think that both me, Anne-Laurence, and Orlando can relate to this because each one of us does a little bit of everything. So when actually there is a working team, and when there is a working team working together on a project, strategic decisions are taken together, operational management is shared, and financial management, even though it's in our case in charge of a single person, it's always shared with the project management. And this is what we meant when we say the two have to go hand by hand, and the relation is very important between who does financial and who does project management. So we wanted to set the levels just to explain the different levels of project management, but then does not reflect a single person doing only a single thing. So when it comes to strategic management, is high-level decision-making. So it's, I would say it has to be 100% shared between the working team and at different levels. So with the governance and the leaders of the organizations, but also the one doing the operations. So the one which are actually working on a daily routine on the project, and who takes care of monitoring expenses and planning in terms of budget and resources. Ensures the strategic management ensures the coherence with the contract. So for example, when it's the case for our project, the grant agreement, the contract with the donor, the relation with the funding agency. So you have to make sure that you're current with the contract you signed. Strategic management is the one dealing with the management of modifications. So it's okay to be flexible, but you have to do it in a strategic way. And then it has to be agreed on. Exceptions. So you planned in a way, but there are exceptions due to the circumstances and therefore adjustments. In a project like ours, it means, for example, modifications to the tasks, but also asking for an amendment. So strategic management means taking those kind of decisions, and also means guaranteeing agreement on behalf of the consortium. So who does strategic management has to make sure that everyone agrees on that strategic decisions. This is part of making sure that the partners at the consortium move at the same pace. Examples: redefining the task to cope with unexpected changes, modify budget allocation, of course in collaboration with the financial manager, realignment of the work plan according to the available time. One task is in delay, we have to cope with this and reallocate the time for the remaining tasks. Or one task can be also in advance compared to the plan, so you have to start before the next activities, for example. Definition and monitoring of KPIs. So who does strategic management defines indicators for performance and has the duty of not only defining indicators, but monitoring those indicators to monitor effective implementation. And then also ensuring the sustainability and the exploitation of results. So, you know, the project doesn't end with delivering a result, but to make sure that result stays alive even after the project ends, so sustainability, and is used as wide as possible. So when it comes to strategic management, it also means taking the decision, ensuring the life of the project well beyond the project ends. When we go to operational management, it's the daily coordination of activities, it's the daily work, which means coordinating your working team, coordinating the partnership in case you have a leading role, coordinating a single task in case you are, for example, a task leader or you are in charge of a specific activities. So the operational manager takes decision on daily basis and on the operational matters. Who does what, when, how, which resources, which is the deadline, which is your expected results, how to reach that result. Prepares the scenarios for strategic decisions. So when a strategic decision needs to be taken, which deviates somehow from the plan, who does operational management prepares some scenarios. If we go for one way, we reach that goal. If we go to the other way, we reach the other goal. If we go for this way, we have sufficient resources. If we go for the other way, we have to find new resources, and so on. It calls for meetings, and whether it's a consortium meeting, whether it's a meeting within your internal team, whether it's a bilateral meeting with the specific partner doing the work with you. So it calls for moments of exchanges. It calls for the discussions. Setting the basis, again, for strategic management, for strategic decisions. And then on an operational level, saves the documents, writes the minutes, defines the agenda, documents what's going on in the project implementation, and so on. So as I said, just to provide examples, it takes care of consulting the partners, activates tasks. So it's the one saying, okay, from today on, we start with the new task, we start with the new activities, we take care of reaching that one deliverable. Make sure all partners and all team members follow the plan. It works as the interface between the donor and the consortium. So it's the one being in between the consortium members and the donor, for example, the European Commission, and monitors timing. So ensures that deliverables are actually delivered in the proper timing and with the proper quality. So it's exactly what it means to operationalize the activities. And finally, and this it's just an overview, and then I will leave Orlando later on to go into details, the financial and administrative management. So it starts from financial planning, we have those resources, how do we use those resources along the time we have available, ensures the compliance with the program rules and the requirements. Usually what the strategic manager and the operational manager knows which are the rules and the requirements, but is the who does financial and administrative management hand by hand with the other two figures, or at least with the other person working in the project, that ensures the compliance with the rules and the formal requirements. Monitor expenditures, of course, to say how much we have spent and how much budget we have left, and how to direct resources to the tasks. Controls the budget use, the payment, the transfer to the partners, and collects all the supporting documents for a sound administrative management. As examples of activities, it puts in place a consultation process with the partners to make sure reporting of activities in terms of finances is well done. Delivers financial training to make sure that all supporting documents comply with the requirements, check the documents in terms of administrative compliance. For example, is in charge of all the tendering procedures and signing the contracts with the subcontractors, for example, is responsible for the budget amendments. So when there is the need to change something in the budget, to move resources from one budget line to the other. Also, when it comes to bigger amendments, so we have to dedicate a big amount of resources from one task to another, it's the work of the financial manager. And then, of course, monitors the costs. So how much staff costs we have spent, how much we have spent in terms of travel, how much money we have subcontracting some tasks, and so on and so forth. Having said that, I would leave the floor now to Anne-Laurence to speak about the working team. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Martina. You already said a lot, so I want, and I guess I hope we will have time for debate and some questions from you. So please, if you have some questions regarding what Martina has already said and what we are going to say, please keep them in mind, and then we will have a time for discussion, because it's also the scope of this meeting to talk together and to receive also your feedback. So talking about the working team, I think you mentioned it all on the when Martina sent the question on Mentimeters and the team capacity building, and also the question of trust was something very important. So, and when we worked on this presentation with Martina in Orlando, we thought about also our difficulty, because we are talking about our perspective as UNIMED, and we want like to share it with you as university. And we know that we don't have the same job, we don't have the same daily work. So some elements or something that can be for us very evident for you, for a university, it's not always so evident, because you already have a job, you teach, you do research, you have to manage the administrative task inside your university. So you have already your daily day very well occupied. So when we talk about internal project in general, it can be national project or international project, European project. For you, it's always something that come in addition to your daily workload. But identifying the people who will be involved in a project is very important. And as it is in the case that you are coordinator, it is also when you are partner, because the responsibility are the same. So it's important to define and to think about who will do what kind of thing since the beginning of the project. So you have to identify based on the project the tasks that have to be performed by your universities, and identify and look for the best appropriate person inside your universities. It can depend obviously on the role that this person assume in the institution, but one person in the institution can also assume different tasks and different role in the project, depending on the matter and on the task to be performed. once the team is defined, the important thing is also to distribute the tasks and to know very well who is supposed to do what kind of thing. Because, you know, when you don't tell the thing clearly, you might be waiting for someone to do something when the one is thinking that, and by instance, we can say that with Martina and Orlando yesterday, when we defined in the slide, we have the talk among us, and we said, okay, so Martina, you start. I will follow. Then Orlando will take all this slide. So we need to define, because otherwise we say, okay, so I can let Martina say everything, and I can let Orlando say everything, and I'm just still here, hearing from them. So it's important. It's important, like also Martina has already said, that one person can do several tasks in the project, and I think it's one of the success and of the key, because it's always sharing and helping each other. It's not so evident, because, and I think everyone here can tell his own experience, that when we have to work together, it's not easy, because we have to learn how to work with someone who, in some cases, doesn't have the same habits than us. So we need to work and to learn from each other. It's a very, I think you know very well, managing a project and working on a project inside a group. So in this case, inside the UNIMED group and with our partners, is something very very humble, because we always learn from the other. I'm working daily with Martina and Orlando, and I learn from them. And when I work with you, or when we work with our partner, we learn also from you, and this experience have also an influence on our own work. Another example for the one element I wanted to mention is I'm not sure that the word exists in English about concertation. It's a very French word, and it means that we need to, when we manage a project, as partner or as coordinator, we need to talk together, because it might be the case that I understand something, but Martina understands in another way, and Orlando understands in another way. So we need to talk to be sure that we have understood the thing on the same way, and we will follow the same direction. And it's important before the beginning of the project, during the project, and even after, when we have to conclude the task. And talking about the working team, there are always moments of consultation or working groups, but also, and obviously, and you know it, that once we have identified the people involved, once we defined the task, we have to work on our own to do our little piece of the project, and then to put it together to see at what stage we have achieved. So, Martina, the next slide, please. Yes, how to build an effective project management team. As Marcella, I'm sorry, because I'm saying Marcella because we are on the account of Marcello, so everything else. I saw the face of Marcello. So in this case, it's, let's say, it's the ideal team for our kind of projects. So for our European project, but the titles can be obviously different. You can call the people different on a different way, but it's important to have someone who is in charge of the coordination. So let's say the project manager. And as Martina mentioned previously, which is in charge of the strategy management, the monitoring, and the project implementation. We need help, because one person cannot do anything on their own. So we need always an assistant project manager who can help us in managing some specific staff, and it can be the administrative one. It can be also the task on communication. It can be task for the report, for the quality. We always need help from other people. And obviously, the other important figure in the project management is the financial manager. And I think Orlando will, and I think when you see our work on Ipticar, and if we talk about, for instance, for the financial management, you see that there is one guy, our one UNIMED guy, who knows the rule, who knows what we have to do. And Orlando remind often to Martina and I what we should do for the financial management. And then we have this time in which we share the work, and we share the analysis, and we share the ongoing project. So this is, let's say, the main figure that we need for an ideal team, but it can be less, it can be more. It depends obviously on the own resources that are available in the universities or in a structure in UNIMED, because you can see that for Ipticar, by instance, there is Marcello, we are a project manager with Martina, we have Orlando as a financial manager, but we have also our two colleagues that you met, Federica and Ariana, who are also working on the project, because the project is huge and we have a lot of work to do. In other case, Martina could say that for another project, she's the only one with Orlando, because we have no more, all the resources are already used. So in some cases, we need to work in a reduced team, and so the work is higher. One thing, one element very important is, and I think it's the one element we would like to share with you and to defend, is the participatory work and approach. We cannot work and we cannot succeed in a project if we work not in group and not in a collective way, and not also in a participatory approach. It's very important. Communication, and you mentioned it in the Mentimeter question, the communication inside the working group is fundamental, because if I forgot to share information with Martina and Orlando, and if one day I'm not here, that can be difficult because they have not the previous information, and it can take longer time for them to resolve the issue. So communication is fundamental. We need to share everything we know, and that can impact the good development or implementation of the project. And then, yes, we insist on the consistency of the team over the time, because it's important we believe it's a key. It's the key of the success of a project, to identify the person from the beginning and to keep them on during all the lifetime. But we also know that sometimes we can change work, we can face some personal difficulties, so we cannot be more involved into a project. But that's why, and I think it's the way to bridge with the management tool. That's why it's important to have project management tools, because if someone leaves the project, we need to know at what point this person was in the project, in the activities he has to manage. So we need this shared management tool. I think, I don't know, Martina, if you want to add something, or Orlando, but I think on the team, it's okay. For the moment, I will not add any more things. Yes, we introduced this slide because we look ahead, learning from your past. It's not always easy, but it's something we try to do, and I think mostly in this period, and we will talk about you of the project proposal, because we always need to learn from our experience, good and bad experience, to see how to better our daily work, and also to try to share it with our partners. So yes, we need to see behind us to see better in front of us the direction that we want to go, and also to learn. And I think here we are in a context in which we can be truly honest. I think with Martina we learned a lot during Ipticar, because as you know, we we enter into the project not at the beginning, but after some months, and it was not so easy because we didn't have all the memory of the project. Thanks to Orlando and Marcello, we tried to reach the project activities and the project scope, but it was not so evident. But I think, and I will, Martina, confirm or not. I hope she will confirm it, because why it seems that
Absolutely.
But we learned together. We learned together on the project, and we learned also obviously with Orlando, but also with you. So, and we tried to define our own project management methods on the project. We shared the responsibility, as you've seen. We shared the responsibility of some work packages. We have the common responsibility with Orlando on the financial management. So it's the project management. It's also let's say a daily work in progress.
And if I can add something from our experience, Anne-Laurence, it was also nice because both me, Anne-Laurence, and Orlando came from different experiences. And that was the first time the three of us were working together. So each one of us brought into this project management approach its own experience, its own tools in a way, its own way of doing things. And then put together, we thought we found a common way of approaching the project, for example. And it means the next time we go to manage another initiative, we will bring this with us, and we will bring with us everything we learned from you. So even the way to manage the consortium, the collaboration, your way of doing things was for us a learning experience. So next time we will bring with us the good thing, the bad things, the one with a question mark, the one we don't know where to place, but it will be an experience we carry on for the next occasion. Yes, I'll leave it to you, Anne-Laurence.
Yes, thanks, Martina. So project management tools. So it's very important. I think I won't be long on this because we already tackled this element, but the scope of this tool is, as you can see, to plan, because when you need to address a project, you need to plan the activities, you need to plan all the activities for the lifetime project. The tools are necessary to monitor if the project goes well, if we are late, if we are in advance, if we fulfill all the deliverables that we mentioned in the proposal, if we reached all the targets that we identified at the beginning of the project. So if we are doing we have said in the proposal. It's something very difficult because we have to manage with the time, we have to manage with the all the elements that were not planned for instance, the pandemics, for instance, a natural disaster, for instance, all kind of unprecedented elements. But the scope of this tool is also for us and for you, I guess, a way to help us to take the decision to and the action to try to readapt the project and to try to fulfill the requirements. So it's the monitoring tools are also a decision-making progress, because if we take our and we will present them to you after, if we take our tools and we see that we are late and we didn't make this thing in the right time, so we need to decide how to make it and to resolve the problem. So there are very important tools. There are several categories of tools, and I think you know, a lot of you knows the one we will present after. So there is, let's say, the existing one, like the Gantt chart, like the project log. We have also some tools that can be defined by the coordination team, because we need to have a tool for us to see at what stage of the implementation we are, and so we we can have several kind of tools. I think maybe, but Martina also will say, and Orlando, it's important to have tool, but it's important also to not have too much tool, because otherwise we spend a lot of time fulfilling the tools and it takes time from the project management itself. So it needs to be very well balanced. The condition to make these tools useful is to fill in timely and regularly. And let's say that there is the theory and there is the practice. So in theory, our tools for Replicar are very well updated, and in practice, in some cases, they are not. So it's in work that we need to do. And to make the bridge with the things I mentioned before, that this tool have to be understandable for everyone. So obviously, firstly, for the team involved of the project, but also for the partners, because if we have a tool, this tool has to be useful for you, because we are working in the project, so in the project team of the institution, but with all the partners, and you have to be understandable. So Martina, I think we can move on and if you want to present? Or?
Yes, well, we don't want to go into detail of each one of those tools, but just wanted to present some. And of course, these are not the only one, or maybe they are not even the best ones, but are the one we usually use when managing a project. So the first one is what we call the project log, which is a quite simple document. Is a Word doc, which is shared, of course, between all the people working on the project, and it's a diary. It's a diary of the project. It's a document where we write month by month what happens. Meaning a meeting, the delivery of a document, a coordination meeting, a deadline, the exchange of one specific email, which may have an importance later on. So we write everything happening month by month for two main reasons. First, to have track of what's going on in the project in a chronological order, so that when we have to find when an activity has been done, we can easily go to the project log and find it month by month. It helps keeping track not only of what we do, but also what the other partners do. So if we receive an important email, if we receive a document, we can note it down, and we don't have to dig into the emails or try to go back to the minutes of that specific meeting. We have an easy way to find when and what. And also it helps for financial management when we have to do the timesheets. So when we have to report our activities, to find what we have done, let's say from January to June, from July to December. And also when we wrote, when we drafted the interim report for the commission, we could go through the first 1.5 years of the project, going through the project log, seeing exactly what happened, not only the goals we reached, so the deliverable we produced, but also how and when. The second tool is a Gantt chart. I don't know how familiar you are with the Gantt chart. It's basically a timetable. We do it with an Excel file, but it can be done with many different instruments. And it's exactly the timetable of the project. So it's the time plan. There is one line for each activity, and how long the activity will last in the relation between the different ones. Another very simple but effective management tool, and it goes along with having an effective communication, is having a mailing list. It's very simple. You create a group, you put all the names and all the mailings, all the address of the people involved in the initiative. And when you have to communicate, you're pretty sure the communication reaches everyone. Another easy tool is having a shared repository. So having a virtual space that can be a Drive folder, it can be a Dropbox folder, it can be a page on the website where documents are uploaded. It can be a space specifically created only for that initiative, but a virtual space where all the documents are saved, working documents and official documents, and everyone can go and find them. It means easing and reducing the time you spend looking for one specific documents in your desktop or in your download folder, or asking your colleague, I don't find these, where can I find it? Most of the times it happens again. Anyways, we always, me and Laurence and Orlando are always asking each other, where can I find these? Where can I find that? But still, it's nice to have a space where, you know, you can look as a first place for resources. And then there are a number of financial monitoring files, which will go in Orlando's presentation, but we just wanted to provide some examples of what it means to have project management tools. Another tool that we haven't mentioned here, but it just came into my mind, is what we call a change log. It's, again, it's like a diary, but it's a Word document, as simple as that, where we note all the changes happening into the project. So whenever we change something from the project proposal as it was approved to the actual implementation, and this happens quite often in terms of minor changes, less often in terms of big amendments, but still, it's part of the implementation of a project. We have a document writing and noting down all the changes. It may happen that at some point, the funding agency, your partners, your director, as it might be in our case, or your president, as it might be in your case, or an external stakeholder asks you, why have you done this? Why it was planned in one way and you change it into another way? And having a change log, so having a document where you take notes of the changes and the reasons why you made that specific change, can help in explaining later on the reason why you took advantage of some form of flexibility that likely most of the projects can have. Maybe what we can do on Laurence, and I say it out loud here, is when we send the presentation, we can also send examples of some of those tools, so that they have, at least they know how they look like. Yeah. And now I leave the floor to Orlando, which will start to define what it means to write a proposal, and then how it relates to the project and the financial management, I think. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Martina, and thank you, Anne-Laurence, for your presentations and the points highlighted. Yes, in the next two slides, we will see how the relationship with the other team members, so with the project management, with the assistant project manager, in general with the team members, is established since the beginning of the writing of the proposals. You will see also that the next slides, let's say, that are fit more the European projects, but you can somehow adapt it to other kind of projects, also national projects, so not only with the European Commission. Okay, so generally speaking, the proposal template is you can find it in the call that you want to apply for. So when a call is open for proposals and you want to apply, you will find all the necessary documents in order to apply. The proposal generally is a Word document because it has to be editable. So you are going to fill in all the information required, and all the information describing your idea of project. Okay, so the proposal must be designed in work packages and described in details activities covered by each work package. I don't know if to say, but I like to make this comparison when I'm thinking about a project. Like I compare it with our life, for example. Like there is a time when we are when we born, when we are kids, then we grow up, go to school, have a job, have a establish a family, and establish a relationship with the others. And then is a time, of course, when you have to go in pension and then go to a better life. And of course, for the projects, I would say that the better life should be the sustainability. So what we leave to the others, how the others can use our work. So a work package is like somehow a moments of our life when we reach something. So when we are kid, when we go to school and finish the school, this is something that we slowly achieve in our life. So the same way a project can be divided in work packages, which defines moments of the lifetime of the project. So you will have a preparation moment, then you will have a development, one or more development moments, so where you apply the your knowledge and in order to achieve the project objective is. Then there will be management and dissemination and also a quality evaluation of the work done. So a work package is a major subdivision of the work plan of your project. Here you have to pay attention to the fact that a single activity is not a work package. A single task is not a work package, or a percentage of the progress of the work is not a work package. A lapse of time is generally again not a work package. Yes, Martina, let's go ahead with the next slide. So we are involved with the project team, with the other team members since the beginning in defining the proposal. Then who are the members, let's say, the parts of a project? So you need to know which part in order to to decide who does what, let's say. Okay, so the partner organization and their activities are specified in the proposal. They must be specified in the proposal. You have to say in the proposal who is going to do what, who are going to be the partners, if there are any subcontractors, if there are any associated partners and affiliated entities. So the work for each party must be decided in the proposal. A project cannot succeed with only one partner, or with only or associated partner. So it has to be a working team. Next. Okay. Once decided the consortium, and the work packages, and you know who does what, then you have to draft a detailed breakdown of cost estimation. The template, again, to prepare the detailed cost is generally found in the submission tool. So in the call for proposal, when the call is open, you just will find all the documents you need to. And we will see later on how to fill in a detailed budget table. It's a practical example applied to the lump sum grants. The cost estimations are used to generate automatically this budget breakdown for each work package and for each participant. Okay. So when you make the estimation of the costs, you have to take in consideration the following things, that they must be in line with your normal practices. So they must be in line with your normal activities, let's say, with the cost you incur with your normal activities at your organization. therefore they must be reasonable and not excessive, and they have to be in line with the activities proposed. Okay, so you have to think of work packages and what you want to do in each work package, and then decide the amount you need in order to achieve the objective of the work packages. So the expenses must be in line with the activities proposed. You cannot use the funds for other type of activities that are not in the proposal. And they have also to be subjected to a general eligibility rules. And we will see in the next slide which are these eligibility criteria. So the cost must be incurred within the implementation period, which means within the lifetime of the project. Okay, so if a project lasts 2 years from 1st January 2023 to 31st of December 2024, a cost incurred in 2022 or in 2025, it's not eligible because it was not incurred within the implementation period of the project. So also the cost, no, just a moment. Okay, the cost have to be indicated in the budget table. So they must be indicated in the proposal. You can only incur costs related to what you to your needs, in order you can only declare costs that are related to the proposal. So they are in connection with the action, and they have to be necessary for its implementation and for its success. Okay. They are identifiable and verifiable, which means that they must be registered in your inventory of the inventory of the organizations, in the accounting system of the organization. They complied with the requirements of applicable taxes and social legislation. So all the taxes must be paid, and social legislation, and social securities for the staff members, for example. They are reasonable, justified, and comply with the principle of sound financial management, in particular regarding economy and efficiency. Okay. Which cost must be covered? So depending on the type of the actions, we could have like the following costs. We definitely need the staff to work. So the personnel costs. They can be the employees or equivalent, or they can be a natural person under direct contracts with general, let's say, consultants. They are not part of the payroll system of the organization. So they are not directly staff of the organization. They could be also seconded persons. So there is a company which provides staff member, for example, to a partner of the project. They can also be small and medium enterprises owners and natural person beneficiaries. Then it's not mandatory, but it can be that the partners cannot, let's say, carry out some tasks directly. So in that case, they will indicate a subcontracting cost, for example, and this is in some project it is mandatory. The external evaluator, so someone external to the actions that can monitor how the project is implemented, if it is implemented according to the proposal, or if there are delays or something, okay, or other tasks. Also, there can be financial audits on the accounts, okay, on the expenses incurred. These tasks cannot be performed by the consortium, by the partners, but they must be subcontracted. Then we have direct purchase costs, and we have the cost related with the travel and subsistence costs. So generally speaking, when we travel for meetings, for trainings, okay, then it can be the equipment, depending on the topic of the project. Maybe you have to perform research, maybe you need some equipment to achieve the goals of the project. So only equipment which is linked to the achievement of the project objectives can be claimed, not any kind of equipment. And also there are some limitation on in choosing the equipment you need. Other goods, works, and services, such as, for example, the website and other contracts or support you need in order to implement the activities in a proper way. Then you can have also other cost categories which are not accepted in all the project or all the grants, sorry. That can be financial support to third parties, some such scholarships, you know, internally invoiced goods. Okay. Then we have indirect cost. This is a logic, let's say, of the program 2021-2027. It was also before, but I noticed that they are more used now. So they are linked generally to administrative tasks, and they are, of course, in connection. They are incurred in connection with the action. Normally, the indirect costs are say a percentage, or are calculated as a percentage on the direct cost, and this percentage can differ from project to project. So I wanted to show you how to fill in a detailed budget table, but in the lump sum proposals. By the way, we were informed that yesterday the call for proposal for the new capacity building is out. So in the next weeks we will analyze, and also maybe we can contact you for new proposals. However, so let's see the how it works, how to fill in, let's say, a budget table.
Orlando, condividi tu adesso lo
Sì,
schermo?
sono abilitato? Ok, no.
Sì.
Just a moment and I will share the screen. Okay, can you see?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. So this is the new tool of the for the lump sum grants. It is used also in Horizon Europe grants, but also in Erasmus Plus capacity building on higher education, but not only. Generally speaking, in Erasmus Plus project, this is the new tool. Okay, so it has different sheets inside, and it has the first one is the instructions one, which is very important to read each step of the instructions. So for example, you have to be aware that now the direct personnel costs, so the personnel costs, they are not anymore in days, but they are expressed in months. So you have to indicate 1 month, not 1 day, and the salary, the month salary. Okay, so this is the first step to do in the instruction. Insert the name of your call. It's just I have it in mind because you are familiar also with it. Maybe I would say Iptikar. Okay, it's not very original, but I will use it. Okay, but insert so the name of your call is the Erasmus Plus capacity building on higher education, and there will be a number, for example, 2024. Then is the acronym of the project, which is IPTICAR. Then is the maximum grant amount for the EU contribution. So which means that the grant amount that the European Commission is willing to grant for your proposal. And normally in these lump sum grants, this depends on the strength of the project. Okay, so if we consider a strand 3, for example, it can go to 800,000 euro, for example. So this is the maximum grant. Okay. And the maximum co-financing rate as stipulated in the call. With the new programs, the funding rate of the European Commission is not anymore 100%, but only 90%. However, the percentage differ from call to call. So just pay attention to these details when you apply for a call for a proposals. All the information are written in the call documents. So if we consider the Erasmus Plus capacity building higher education projects, the rate was 90%. Then you have to establish the categories of the staff cost you need. So maybe you will need, for example, project managers. So I would say managers in general. Then you need someone who implements the activities. Maybe you would need a trainer, a teacher, or maybe you will have some researcher. Okay, and you are free to select all the roles, all the staff categories you need. They are not set in the proposal. But you have to be aware that when you choose these categories, they must fit all the needs in the proposal, and they apply for all the partners, so not only for one partner. Okay. So in the previous calls, let's say that the main figure was the manager, the teacher, trainer, researcher, technical, and administrative. But I repeat, they are not mandatory, okay? But once you choose it, they apply for all the beneficiaries. Then you have to go to the second sheet, which is beneficiary list. And here you start to draw up the partnership, okay, the consortium. Who is so beneficiary number 1 is normally the coordinator, okay? So coordinator name, I would say here, okay? And then the acronym, you would say, okay? And then the country, for example, Italy. How to add new beneficiaries? When you say beneficiaries, partner, so you are drawing up your consortium here. So you have to click twice on the other beneficiary. Then it is automatically beneficiary number 2. Okay, for example, is Tripoli, I would say. Okay, sorry, University of Tripoli. Then you have an acronym, and then we have the code, the country code. And so on. You have to pay attention to the eligible criteria of the call, because there may be a requirement regarding the composition of the partnership. Okay, so maybe you would need European partners or other partners from Libya if we are talking about this project, but you might need, depending on the project, only of local partners. Okay, and so on. I will go with a third partner, so Bani Walid, I would say. So again, Libya and of course they are only examples. Then you have to apply changes, and you have to give the necessary time to the Excel file to the changes you made to the file. Okay, so you will see now that there are three sheets here, like VE001, VE002, and 2, and VE003. This means that it is a new file for is a file for each beneficiary. Okay, after you decided the beneficiary, you have to decide the work package list, the one we talked before. Okay, so you definitely will need for example, a management work package. I will try to increase because I'm not sure you can read. Can you read?
It reads well like this.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So you will have here the work package management. Then we will need definitely a preparation. Sorry, I would add a new work package. So again, similar to the participants, you add a work package here. Work package 2, which should be, for example, preparation, or you are free to decide and to design your project. Then you have development. And then you have, for example, quality and so on. Once you finished your work packages, I will show you that now you have only one work package. If I go on beneficiary 1, you can see only one work package. Then if I apply the changes, I will have the Excel, let's say, will be updated with all the needed work packages. Perfect. So now if I go on beneficiary 1, you will see that it's not only work package 1, but it's also work package 2, work package 3, and so on. And now we have to fill the budget for each partner and for each work package. And as said before, we have this. Generally speaking, we have these costs. You can have less, or you can have also other categories, more categories. So if you say manager, you might need 1 month. So you are claiming here the units are month. Then you have the cost per unit, which is the cost per month. You might remember, some of you, that at the beginning of a project, of a proposal, when we write the proposal, we ask all the partners or potential partners to fill in a partner identification form, where we ask also some details about this cost. So how much costs a manager? How much does it cost a trainer, a technical administrative profiles in your institution, in your organization? So the cost must be verifiable and must be in line with the costs your organization pay for that, for those profiles. Okay, so I don't know, I will say one manager is 2,500 are just examples. One teachers, for example, 2,000. One technical, for example, is 1,000. Then we have the administrative, which should be around 700. But there are also only examples. Okay, these are the employees. You can have also natural person, as said before, or a seconded person. So natural person, they are consultants generally, or volunteers. Then the subcontracting cost, for example, the external evaluator, we will have 1, and I would say 10,000 euro, depending on the amount of the work you have to perform. Then you have the travel cost. So you have to imagine how many travel, how many accommodation subsistence, which these are units. Okay, so how many person, for example, you will need to travel 40 person, 200 euro, for example. How many accommodation, you have to think on how many days will last, for example, the meeting, let's say 2 days. So this means that there are 40 people, you will have 80 days and 80 subsistence, and depending on the cost of living in the country you are going to travel, you have to consider the rate of cost of living there. For example, you have 80 and you have again 60. I don't know, they are just examples, numerical examples. The equipment, you have to decide if you need equipment or leave it blank, of course. So depending on the topic of the project, and so on for all the other categories, budget categories. And this is to be done not only for work package 1, but for all the work packages. Okay. So you fill in for all the partners, and then you arrive to construct the budget. So how is made your budget in this moment? There are the names of the partners. For each one, you can see the information you filled in, okay? And the total cost. In the lump sum grants, you have also 7% of indirect costs. So the total cost of the action will be, at the moment, 37,000 euro, for example. And given that we said that only the 90% will be funded, so the maximum grant amount from the European Commission is 34,000. So this was the example of the budget, and I would kindly ask Martina to go back to the slides. So the budget we saw together with the proposal must be submitted to the granting, let's say, authority, to the donor, okay? And then let's say that the proposal succeeded, is successful, and you start the project is starting, and so you have to implement the project. So you have to have in mind when managing the grant, you have to have in mind that the budget is meant to be the costs are meant to be co-financed. This is why the European Commission, for example, let's say grants only 90% instead of 100%, because partners are supposed to contribute in somehow to financing the action. Then you don't have to you have to pay attention to the no double financial rule, which means that you cannot cover with public funds the same cost. Okay, so you cannot ask from two sources the money for the same activity. And also non-profit rule, so so you don't have to let's say to follow a profit from the use of the funds. Next. So once the project starts, the maximum grant amount is fixed in the grant agreement. The granting authority or the European Commission, or of course, depending on the project, maybe also if a national project, so it will be the donor, will send to the coordinator the funds in accordance with the grant agreement. So the granting authority transfers to the coordinator the funds, then the coordinator distributes it to the partners. The distribution of the funds from the granting authority can be in the for example, pre-financing payments, one or more pre-financing payments, then additional pre-financing, and the final payment. While the coordinator will transfer the grant amount to the beneficiaries in accordance with the consortium agreement, or it was called before partnership agreement. So there are internal agreements on how to effectively distribute the budget. Okay. During the lifetime of the project, of course, some events can arise. So, of course, there are allowed changes, minor changes, or also big changes, depending on what happened, of course, on the event. And almost all the grants allow you to use in a slightly differently way the budget you asked. Next, please. Okay. The important things is that during the lifetime of the project, you have to keep records, okay? Records and other supporting documentation in order to prove the proper implementation and the cost claimed. So, depending on the action, if it is a real cost, you have to prove the real level of the expenses with contracts and with invoices and everything. While for the lump sum grants, record on cost incurred are exceptionally not needed. It is enough to keep some of the evidence to prove the proper implementation of the action and to ensure the quality of the work you promised in your proposal. So depending on the grant, you need to keep some records while some others are not needed. For example, in actual mixed cost grants on the left and lump sum grants on the right, you can see that in order to prove, for example, actual, let's take a look to the left, the actual, so to the actual mixed cost grants, you need to prove the proper implementation of the action, which is technical documents, publications, deliverables, documentation required by good research practice, okay? And any other document proving that the work done according to the in accordance with the proposal. Then from a financial, let's say, in order to prove the cost, you also will need the timesheets, the pay slips or contracts, documents proving the travels, for example, boarding pass. For the subcontracting, you will need contracts, invoices, proof of payments, and any other documents useful to prove the level of the actual cost. What happened for the lump sum grants is that you will need only to prove the proper implementation of the action. So they say that the granting authority do not put accent on the other documents, so on timesheets, payslips, or contracts. However, in case they might be required, so it's not that they are not needed. They do not ask, but they might be asked only in a case of audit and in order to check the activity and also the lump sum, the funding was calculated correctly. Okay, next, please. Also linked to the changes during the lifetime of the project, here we have the amendments. So you have to evaluate when you need an amendment and when it is sufficient or communications. So amendments are normally not necessary for budget transfers covered by the budget flexibility we were talking before. When you want to change the name or address of a participant, for example, also when you change the banking details. You don't need amendments in this case. You will need an amendment only if there is it's not a minor change to the project proposal, okay? And the amendments can be requested by the consortium, but also by the granting authority. Then when it comes to reporting, so how do you report the activities? You have a continuous reporting on milestones and deliverables, and then you have reports for payments. So the continuous reporting includes progress in achieving the milestones, the deliverables, response to critical risk, publication, communication, while reports on financial issues must be submitted periodically. Also here depends on the actions. All the information are provided in the grant agreements. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. So the periodic report is also divided in two parts. It's a technical part and the financial part. The technical part is related to the implementation of the activities, while the financial part consists of the structured individual and consolidated financial statement. This is a consolidated financial statement for the project partner, so for the consortium. You have to keep in mind that during the lifetime of the project, but also for a certain period of time, generally speaking, is from 3 to 5 years, there may be some checks and reviews, audits, and investigation from the granting authority. So this is in order to ensure sound financial management and compliance with the grant agreement rules. Then also in order to assess the lump sum grants, for example, and okay, and to check if the public funds were let's say spent in a good way, in a good manner, let's say. Some projects might ask also for a certificate on the certificate on the financial statement. Is not the case of the lump sum grants, but generally speaking, this certificate is needed for projects running with real costs. So it's, let's say, a guarantee for the granting authority, a major guarantee for the granting authority that the costs claimed are regular, let's say. Next, please. Okay.
Thank you, Orlando. I think Martina, I know that Martina just has a technical problem with the computer. She's arriving. So thank you very much for, I think it was the last slide for your presentation.
It was the last, yes, exactly, because the others were related to some other materials where you can go and where you can go and consult other materials. Of course.
Yeah, but we will share it with the partners will receive the links when we will share the presentation. Thanks a lot for all your inputs. There is a lot of things to keep in mind from Orlando presentation, but one of them, I think there is two things. One is that as you could see, we now need to work on the platform. So we cannot escape from this platform, at least for the European project. So it's very important if you identify someone in your university to take and to learn how to use it, to make familiar with it, because it's very important, because as you see, it's the platform where we have to submit the proposal, where we have to insert the budget, and we will use it also to present all our results and deliverables. So it's very important. And another thing, just I wanted to mention at the beginning of the presentation of Orlando, he mentioned you that the call is now for the new capacity building project is now open. And I just wanted to mention one thing that we will do to return to our presentation between project management and financial management. We, for the next call, so to give you an example, on how we share the task and the responsibilities between financial management and project management, is that in our case, Martina and I will read the guidelines of the technical part, let's say. So we will read what kind of activities we can do, what kind of priorities have been defined by the European Commission, what are the novelties from the last call. And Orlando, we will read all the financial and administrative guidelines to see if there is any change from the last call of last year, if there is some mobility, some activities that now we can fund that before we cannot. And we will do our own, let's say, our homework on this on this guideline. And once we will have read them, and once we will define with Martina to work on one project after talking with the partners on what kind of priorities, what kind of project we can do, we will think of a series of activities, the objectives, the target group, the activities, the deliverable, blah blah blah, all the project, and then we will have a big and interesting conversation with Orlando, asking him, okay, so we plan to do this, can we? No. We plan to do this, can we? Yes, you can, but you can also do that. So it's very important because we will come with our ideas. He will come with all the rules and all the requirements and the possibilities that the financial guidelines offer to us. And then with his knowledge and with our ideas, we will draft the next project. So it was just to give you another example on how we share the work among us to try to succeed in writing proposal and then after in project management. Martina, you
and there is another, yes.
I'll give you the floor.
No, I just wanted to add another element to what you just said, that there is also a conversation with the strategic management or the strategic manager and the leaders of the institution. In our case, we always dialogue with our director that you know very well, because he has the vision of the organization. He knows better than the single project manager or the single person, which is the strategic vision of the organization. He speaks with our board of directors, with the vice presidents, with the honorary secretary. So he kind of also makes a strategic decision, and also he makes sure that the leadership of our organization supports the project idea and later on will support the project implementation. And it is the same that we think it's important in terms of the university management and in every kind of organization, that it's not only coming from the bottom up, but also from the top down. So the leaders needs to be on board. Your governance, your presidents, your vice presidents need to support the initiative, to support your work. And this will make a huge difference when you carry on the activities, when you have to mobilize resources, when you have to take time to write the proposal, to implement the project, and so on. So the idea of having different levels, it's on the one side in terms of collaborative work, and on the other side in terms of having the adequate support to your activities, to your project, and to your ideas, even when it comes to proposal writing. So we went a bit longer than we usually do. It's already almost 12 in Rome, so I guess it's almost 1 in Libya. And we don't want to take extra time from you. If there are any questions or comments, we'll be happy to hear it. Otherwise, we can set you free. We don't want to get even longer than we did already. Okay, I don't see comments or questions, no raised hands. So thank you again for being with us today. We will share all the materials, the presentation, and some templates and all the links, especially when it comes to all the references that Orlando added to his presentation, with all the documents which are needed when you think about writing a proposal and then when you manage on a financial point of view. So you will have all the references in our presentation. Thank you again for being with us today. A quick reminder, always related to the next, to the call, which has been recently launched. Tomorrow there is this session from the European Commission on how to write the proposal, the novelties of the program, the novelties of the new call. We share the link with the project local coordinators, so we will be happy to see you online. We will definitely connect. It will be, I think it's always interesting to learn what's new in the new call, what they suggest, the priorities they point attention to some specific elements they want to underline for all those engaged in writing new proposals. So we thought to switch to Thursday to Wednesday to allow you and encourage you to follow the session from the European Commission tomorrow morning. So we hope you will. And in case after our presentation or after their presentation tomorrow, you still have questions or doubts, feel free to contact us anytime. We might not have the answers, but we can join forces and look for the right answers. So thank you again for your time and your patience today with us, and we'll see each other. Well, I have to contact you for the next appointment, so we'll see each other soon. I will reach you out for the next date. Thank you again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you.
Salama.